And that's how you ended up as a rent-a-cop.
At the beginning, a group of Marines are being held captive inside an Al-Qaeda compound about to be executed. However, Spec Ops Marine John Triton has already infiltrated the compound to rescue his brothers. Command tells him not to engage, but Triton cannot watch the Marines be executed and decides to make his move. He bursts into the room going full auto on the terrorists, then cuts them down in close combat, a one-man army. Triton clears the room, then leads his Marines to safety.
We go through them.
Despite his heroics, when Triton returns to Germany, he is handed his walking papers due to insubordination. The news really hits John hard, as being a Marine is all he knows, but left without a choice, he is forced to accept the decision.
I'm a Marine.
I thank you for your loyal service.
A few days later, John returns home to the U.S., where he is welcomed home by his wife, Kate. It was hard for her when he was away, as she worried every day if he would make it home, but John reminds her she married a Marine. Kate is concerned about the security guard job he already has lined up, thinking it may be too soon, but John would go insane if he sat around the house all day. She understands and just wants him to be happy, so John reassures her he is. Meanwhile, we meet notorious criminal Rome and his associate Vesera, who pull up outside a high-end jeweler's store. Their target a specific lockbox inside. Meanwhile, another associate, Morgan, takes up position across the street. Rome casually enters the building, makes his way behind the security guard before taking him down. Another associate already inside, Bennett, also pulls his guns, keeping everybody's heads down while Rome calmly explains that this is a robbery. What he wants is behind a bulletproof door, so Rome grabs a nearby woman, threatening to eliminate her unless the manager opens the door. The manager folds, but then the woman, Angela, takes Rome's gun, revealing she's also working with him. Now inside the vault, Rome takes the surveillance footage while the manager loads diamonds into a bag. When Rome goes to leave, the manager calls him by name, as he is also working with Rome, but for this, Rome shoots him dead. Rome and the team casually leave the bank, bidding the scared people a great day. Outside, sirens start getting closer, so Rome opens fire on the responding car before Bennett hits it with a rocket. And they escape the scene. Detective Van Buren is investigating the robbery, and he doesn't think it's a coincidence that the thieves stole diamonds that were delivered just 24 hours ago, suspecting that the manager was probably in on the heist. Back with John, he starts his security job at a corporate building working alongside Joe, who's been working as a security guard for 9 years. Not even a few hours in, John finds the job boring. Joe thinks it's great, and in 2 years they move you to management, but John finds it weird since he's not in management. At that time, a rich guy named Drake and his 2 bodyguards enter the building, but in a few minutes they get a call about a commotion. Upstairs, Drake is cussing out his ex-girl for leaving him. John and Joe get there trying to get him to leave, but when he insults them both, John drags him to the elevator.
Why are you so angry?
When they get to the lobby and Drake sees his bodyguards, he starts insulting John to his face. When he tries getting him to leave again, a fight breaks out, but John takes out the bodyguards before throwing Drake out the window. Drake threatens that they'll lose their job, and so said and done, a few hours later, Joe is suspended, while John is fired on the spot. Joe thinks he'll bounce back as he has all his training, but John thinks his military training is useless in the civilian world. It's not even about the job. Being a Marine was everything to him, and now he's stuck at a crossroads, not sure what to do with his life. Joe gives it to him straight. His time as a Marine is over, and while his life is changing, it's not done. He just needs to adapt, maybe take a step back and see what he still has and cherish it. John agrees, then takes the advice, planning to go home to Kate. Meanwhile, Rome and Angela get back to their hotel room. She isn't pleased about what went down today, from the killing of the manager to Morgan blowing up a cop car, fearing that it may cause an issue for them. But Rome thinks all is well that ends well, and to be fair, he was also firing an automatic weapon at the cops. He senses that she's getting cold feet, so he reassures her that he would never hurt her. Rome then gets a call from his client, who isn't pleased with the dead bank manager and the cops, believing that Rome is losing control, but Rome thinks he has even more power, now that he has the diamonds. The client threatens to bring hell down on him, but Rome knows he won't do that if he wants to see his diamonds, so they plan the exchange for tomorrow. Joe drops John back home. There he tries to cover up what happened earlier until the news shows a video of John's fight. John is disappointed, but Kate just thinks he jumped back into working too quickly. Kate then suggests that they take a spontaneous trip, no destination in particular, just the open road. John thinks about it for a while, then agrees, thinking it may be a good idea. Rome sends Morgan to go pick up a ride from a contact. He loved the ride they got before, expecting something just as great, until he is shown a minivan. Rome wanted him to get something inconspicuous, but he just can't see himself driving around in a minivan, as he's no soccer mom.
I'll even have Johnny throw some spinners on it.
Black men don't drive minivans, Frank.
The mechanic reminds him they need something to carry 5 people, but despite this logical reasoning, Rome refuses to take the minivan, driving out in a Cadillac instead. John and Kate are soon on the road, trying to find a great place to visit and sightsee, expecting a great trip. They need gas, so they stop at a gas station to fill up, and this is where the movie gets going. The gas station they've stopped at so happens to be where Rome and his gang are also getting gas, with Bennett and Angela inside the store grabbing items. John heads inside to grab some drinks, walking right past Rome. At that moment, a cop car pulls into the gas station, putting Rome's crew on edge, and they start eyeing each other nervously. One cop steps out to get gas. Then he notices Rome filling up and comes over. He happens to be interested in the car and starts an innocent conversation, but Morgan makes everything worse. Without warning, he shoots the cop point blank. Rome then unloads on the other cop inside the car, causing him to crash. John hears the gunshots, but Bennett knocks him out as he tries getting to Kate. The crew decide to change cars and end up targeting John's, dragging Kate from the front seat, and Rome decides to take her hostage as they may need one soon. John barely wakes to see them taking Kate away, but Morgan then ignites nearby fuel, causing a massive explosion. John survives though and spots the car speeding away in the distance, so he goes for the cop car. The cop inside is still alive, so John rests him on the ground, jumps into the car, and speeds off after his wife, calling in the attack and kidnapping over the police radio. Angela sees Kate's ID, realizing she's a Marine's wife, and laughs at her, not realizing the danger they're in. Rome then spots the cop car racing up to them, but Bennett can see it's not the cops. As John gets closer, everyone inside opens fire, ripping the car to shreds, but John stays on their tail, keeping his head down to avoid the bullets.
Shooting!
He grabs a nearby pistol, but Rome rams the car, causing it to fall from his hand. Rome is getting fed up with John's persistence, as nothing they do will shake him. They end up cutting through a construction zone, barely avoiding the workers they're diving for their lives. Rome pushes John's car into the path of an excavator, ripping the top off the car, leaving it looking like a go-kart. They prepare to shoot again, but Kate attacks Rome, causing him to drive off-road. John is right there, but Rome pulls ahead. Then they open fire on the incoming car, causing it to drive over a cliff engulfed in flames. They all think he's dead after that explosion, even Kate, who starts attacking them out of anger. Angela plans to shoot her, but Rome still wants to keep her as insurance and orders her tied up. Their truck is totaled. Vesera then calls Morgan a trigger-happy nut job, causing Morgan to attack him until Rome puts a stop to their bickering. They can either stay there fighting, or they can find a way out of the swamp, make the drop, and collect their cash. They'll walk through the forest, which will give them cover from the air and slow down any cops chasing them. Angela is not fond of traveling with Kate. Kate tells her to go to hell, so Angie knocks her out, and Morgan is enjoying the show until he learns he'll have to carry Kate.
Watch out for crocodiles.
Van Buren is not far behind, arriving at the gas station to see the carnage. There he learns about John, and from the description of the perpetrators, he suspects they're the same from the heist, a sloppy bunch. He then gets a call about a shooting incident 5 miles down the road, and heads there. He sees Rome's abandoned car, and then he comes face to face with John, who has survived. Van Buren wants him to leave the case to the cops, but John won't allow Kate to become another one of Rome's victims. Van Buren can't give him permission, but he won't stop John, instead urging him to hurry as he knows how dangerous Rome is. Rome and the crew are pushing through the swamp when Kate wakes and tries escaping once more, but is quickly recaptured. Morgan is getting fed up with the swamp. Just like the minivan, a man like him isn't built for this environment. Vesera reminds him he was the one who got them into this mess, but Morgan refuses to take responsibility. He aims his gun at Vesera out of anger, but Rome tells him to stand down before shooting Vesera himself. They continue their journey, but they are now being pursued by cops. John comes across the spot where Vesera was killed and only finds his blade there, so he grabs it and continues tracking. Rome soon gets another call from his client, but here he plans to change their deal. Just to get away, he had to kill multiple cops, kill a Marine, and kidnap his wife, so for his trouble he will take the diamonds. The client warns he will not get away, but Rome just cuts him off. Just then they hear a chopper passing overhead, so they take cover while Angela holds a blade to Kate's neck to keep her from giving away their position. John is steadily gaining on them, using his skills to track them through the swamp. Morgan is still complaining every step of the way about his ethnicity and his environment. Rome tells him everything doesn't need to be racial and asks Kate's opinion, but Kate just thinks he's insane. He starts messing with her, telling her they could have had a future if not for Angela, but Kate just ignores him. John is still tracking the group when he comes to a section of the forest. Annette almost snatches him, but he cuts free only to be held at gunpoint by a drug-dealing thug who suspects he's a cop. John denies this, but he is knocked out by a second man. Rome's group get to a lodge next to a river flooded by cops, so he plans to wait until they're gone, then they will rest up there. When John wakes, he is strapped to a chair inside the drug dealer's lair with the thugs packing in a hurry. One man starts punching on John, demanding to know why the cops are after them. They refuse to listen to what he has to say, so John admits to being a cop and tells them the others are tracking his GPS. When they try searching him, John attacks one man and breaks free. He trades some heavy punches with the second large man, but ends up tackling him through a column before taking off after Kate once more. He almost loses their tracks, but soon picks them up again and starts sprinting. Soon he comes upon the lodge and sees the group leading Kate inside, and now they must pay. Inside the lodge, they realize there's no power, so Rome sends Morgan to find a generator. He isn't keen on going out alone as he's watched too many horror movies, but Rome isn't listening to his sad stories and sends him on his way. Meanwhile, Kate is loosening her bounds. Morgan goes under the lodge, finds the generator, and manages to get it going, but John suddenly tackles him. Morgan fights back, and the two throw each other around. Morgan knocks him over the head with a bottle, but John stabs him in the stomach with Vesera's blade, ending him. Rome then steps outside to make a phone call, and John is nearby listening in. Rome calls his mechanic, instructing him to leave a car waiting at a nearby marina as soon as possible as he plans to head to Phoenix. Inside the lodge, Angela decides to mess with Kate,
Why so sad?
who in turn calls her Rome's puppet. Rome tells Bennett about the contact he has in Phoenix who can move the diamonds, allowing them to take 100% of the cut instead of splitting it with their client, and Bennett is all for the plan. Rome then sends him to try and get a nearby boat started, and also see what Morgan's up to. Bennett steps out but instantly feels something is off. Suddenly John attacks and disarms him. Bennett tries fighting back, but he's no match for John, who brutally takes him out. He's hiding the body when Van Buren turns up. Only Rome and Angela are left, so Van Buren wants to go in alone, but John can't leave Kate's fate in his hands, so they plan to go in together. The lights suddenly go out inside the lodge, so Kate makes a break for it. Angela tackles her outside, but Kate isn't a Marine's wife for nothing and kicks her ass, before Angela holds her at gunpoint. John and Van Buren burst into the lodge to confront Rome.
There's a crazy son of a bitch.
But he is not fazed at all. John makes a move at him, but Van Buren stops him. Then Rome makes the big reveal. Van Buren won't do anything until he learns where the diamonds are, because he so happens to be Rome's client. Van Buren then turns his gun on John, still demanding the diamonds from Rome, who plans to hand them over to him if he kills John on the spot. John realizes the situation he's in, but maintains his composure. When Van Buren is distracted, John attacks, using him as a human shield from Rome before taking cover. Rome escapes the lodge, then he turns and opens fire on the gas cylinder underneath. Luckily though, John recovers and escapes the building before a massive explosion rips it apart. They then throw Kate into Van Buren's trunk before taking off in the car. John recovers in the river, but then a lone cop on a patrol boat orders him out of the water.
I'm John Triton. Shut up!
The cop goes to arrest John, but he can't be slowed down now, so he skillfully takes down the cop and cuffs him before taking his gun and his boat. Rome knows they need to get rid of the car, so he comes up with a plan. Angela flags down a passing trucker, pretending to ask for help but gunning him down. John hears reports of the stolen truck heading towards the marina, so he hits the gas. He gets to the marina by nightfall to see Rome pulling in. Kate spots him, so she distracts Rome, allowing John to jump off the boat and onto the truck. In one move, John drags Angela from the truck to her death, causing her to lose the diamonds. Rome tries shooting, but John and Angela disarm him, so he dives into some nearby shacks trying to shake John. John hangs on, but he is soon thrown from the truck. Rome ends up driving through some oil barrels, setting the truck on fire, so he bails, leaving Kate still handcuffed inside. John starts sprinting to catch up, but Rome attacks him, and the truck runs into the river and starts to sink. John and Rome begin to battle each other, throwing some heavy blows. A part of a building collapses onto John, so Rome uses the opportunity to start beating on him. He then grabs a chainsaw, but John regains his strength and holds him off, then begins to hit Rome with everything he's got before throwing him into the fire. John then dives into the river after Kate. He finds her passed out inside the truck, so with everything he's got he snaps the cuffs before pulling her to safety. He tries desperately to get her breathing again, and just as he begins to fear the worst, Kate regains consciousness. Suddenly a severely burnt Rome attacks John, but John snaps his neck with the chain, ending him for good. The two then hug as the cops close in around them. Thanks for watching. If you had a good time, go ahead and hit that like button, drop a comment, and of course, subscribe for more recaps just like this. And hey, don't click away just yet. YouTube thinks you'll love one of these two videos popping up right here, so check them out next.